The alien king rewards the hero with his pure daughter, who's of his blood, gives her as a gift. Commander Sarah Chen stared out of her ship's window at the massive planet below. Zephyr Prime was beautiful. Its purple ocean sparkled under 3 suns. Golden cities stretched across green continents. She had never seen anything like it. "Commander, we are getting signals from the planet," said Lieutenant Torres from his seat. "They are asking us to land at the main spaceport." Sarah nodded. She was nervous. This was her first big mission as a diplomat. Before this, she had been an engineer in the Earth military. She knew how to fix ships and build things. Talking to alien kings was new to her. "Take us down." "Torres," she said, "let's hope this goes well." The human ship was small compared to the giant Zephyrian vessels around the spaceport. Sarah's ship looked like a tiny bug next to elephants. The Zephyrians had been traveling space for thousands of years. Humans had only been doing it for a few hundred as they landed. Sarah saw her first Zephyrian. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high. Their skin was blue-gray like storm clouds. They had 4 arms and large, wise eyes. They moved with grace and seemed very proud. A Zephyrian official met Sarah at the landing pad. He was wearing robes covered in golden symbols. "I'm Ambassador Catherine," he said in perfect English. "King Velter is waiting for you. Please follow me." Sarah walked through the spaceport. Everything was huge and beautiful. The walls were made of crystal that glowed with soft light. Other aliens stopped to stare at her. She felt very small. The royal palace was even more amazing. It was built into a mountain and reached high into the clouds. Inside, the halls were wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. Strange music floated through the air. King Velter sat on a throne made of black stone. He was bigger than the other Zephyrians. His eyes were golden instead of blue. When he looked at Sarah, she felt like he could see into her soul. "Welcome, human," the king said. His voice was deep like thunder. "I am told you come to discuss trade between our peoples." Sarah stepped forward and bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty, Earth hopes to build friendship with Zephyr Prime. We can offer our technology and resources." The king seemed amused. "Your people are young. What could you possibly offer us that we need?" Before Sarah could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the palace. Red lights flashed. Zephyrian guards ran in all directions. "Your Majesty," a soldier burst into the throne room. "The sacred moon Zelara is under attack. Pirates have taken the research station." The king stood up quickly. His golden eyes burned with anger. "How many ships?" 20 pirate vessels, my lord. "They have some kind of new weapon. Our defense fleet cannot move. Their ships are frozen." In space, Sarah's heart raced. She knew about space pirates. They were cruel and dangerous. They attacked weak targets and stole everything valuable. "What kind of weapon?" she asked. The soldier looked at her with surprise. "Why does the human ask?" "Because I might be able to help," Sarah said. She turned to the king. "Your Majesty, I was a military engineer before I became a diplomat. I know about ship systems." King Velter studied her for a long moment. "You would risk your life for people you just met. That's what good people do," Sarah said simply. The king's expression changed. For the first time, he looked at her with respect instead of amusement. "Very well, human. You may try." Minutes later, Sarah was on the bridge of a Zephyrian command ship. Through the window, she could see the sacred moon Zelara. Smoke was rising from the research station. 20 pirate ships circled like hungry wolves. "There," said Captain Murdoch, pointing at the frozen Zephyrian ships. "Our vessels cannot move. Their engines work, but something holds them in place." Sarah looked at the readings on the alien computers. She could not read the language, but numbers were the same everywhere. Energy patterns, power levels, frequency readings. These things she understood. "It's a gravity net," she said after studying the data. "The pirates are using artificial gravity to trap your ships. Very clever. Can it be stopped?" asked the captain. Sarah smiled. "Yes, but not the way you think." She turned to face him. "Do you trust me?" The captain looked uncertain. "You are just one small human ship against 20 pirates. Sometimes small is better," Sarah said. "My ship is too small for their gravity net to catch. And humans, We fight differently than you do." She ran back to her ship. Lieutenant Torres was already warming up the engines. "Commander, this is crazy," he said. "We have no weapons. That can hurt those pirate ships." "We don't need to hurt them," Sarah replied, sitting in the pilot's chair. "We just need to be smarter." Her ship launched from the Zephyrian vessel and headed toward the pirates. The enemy ships immediately turned toward her. Sarah could hear them laughing over the communication channels. One tiny human ship, a pirate. Captain shouted, "This will be easy." But Sarah did not fly straight at them. Instead, she flew round them in circles, moving fast and changing direction constantly. The pirates fired their weapons, but she was too quick and too unpredictable. While flying, Sarah studied their formation. She noticed something important. The gravity weapon was on the biggest pirate ship in the center. It needed the other ships to stay in exact positions to work properly. "Torres, remember that trick we used during the asteroid mining operation?" she asked. "The one where we redirected the mining laser." "But Commander, we don't have a mining laser." "No," Sarah grinned. "But they do." She flew her ship directly at the largest pirate vessel. At the last second, she turned hard to the left. The pirate ship fired its main weapon, trying to destroy her. But Sarah had timed it perfectly. The beam missed her ship and hit one of the other pirate vessels. Instead, the damaged ship spun out of position. Suddenly, the gravity net began to fail. The trapped Zephyrian ship started to move. "Now," Sarah called over the radio, "attack while their formation is broken." The Zephyrian fleet charged forward. Without their special weapon working properly, the pirates were no match for the advanced alien warships. The battle was over in minutes. King Vilter watched everything from his command ship. He saw how the small human had used intelligence instead of strength. She had turned the enemy's own weapons against them. It was brilliant. When Sarah returned to the palace, the king looked at her with new eyes. "You have saved our sacred moon and our people," he said. "Tell me, human, how did you know that plan would work?" Sarah shrugged. "Sometimes the best way to win is not to fight harder, but to fight smarter. That's what humans do best." The king smiled for the first time since she had met him. "Perhaps," he said, "your people have more to offer than I thought." 3 days had passed since the battle at the Sacred Moon. Sarah's ship was being repaired in the Royal Spaceport. The Zephyrian engineers were amazed by human technology. They had never seen engines that could move so quickly and change direction so fast. "Your ship is very different from ours," said Chief Engineer Ralvin as he showed Sarah around the repair bay. "We build for power and strength. You build for speed and flexibility." Sarah nodded. "Humans learn to be adaptable. We had to survive on a dangerous planet with limited resources." King Vilter had invited Sarah to stay in the palace as his honored guest. This was very unusual. Most alien visitors stayed in the diplomatic quarter of the city. But the king wanted to learn more about humans and their ways. Sarah was given a beautiful room high in the palace tower. The walls were made of crystal that changed colors with her emotions. When she was happy, they glowed gold. When she was thinking hard, they turned blue. On her 4th morning, Sarah was eating breakfast in the palace garden when someone sat down across from her. It was a young Zephyrian woman with bright silver eyes and skin that sparkled like starlight. "You are the human who saved Zalara," the woman said. Her voice was musical but cold. "I am Princess Lyrinus, daughter of King Velter." Sarah stood up quickly and bowed. "Your Highness, it's an honor to meet you." The princess did not smile. "My father speaks highly of you. He says you have a clever mind. I wanted to see for myself." Sarah sat back down carefully. She could tell the princess did not like her very much. "I heard you are a scientist," Sarah said politely. "What do you study?" "I study life systems." Lyrinus replied, "I work to keep our people fed and healthy. It is important work, though perhaps not as exciting as space battles." There was something sharp in her voice. Sarah realized the princess thought she was just a warrior who solved problems with violence. "I'm not really a fighter," Sarah said quietly. "I'm an engineer. I like to build things and solve puzzles." The battle was just problem solving with ships instead of tools. Princess Lyrinus looked surprised. You are an engineer. What kind of engineering? Bioengineering mostly. I design life support systems for space stations. I also worked on farming systems for colonies on dead planets. For the first time, the princess seemed interested. Farming systems. How do you grow food on lifeless worlds? Sarah's eyes lit up. This was something she loved talking about. We use hydroponics in controlled environments. We can grow plants without soil by giving them exactly the nutrients they need in water. We can control light, temperature, and humidity perfectly. The princess leaned forward. Show me. Sarah spent the next hour drawing diagrams on the crystal table. She explained how human colonies grew food in space stations and on planets with no atmosphere. The princess asked many smart questions. This is remarkable, Lyrinus said finally. Your people have truly mastered the art of creating life where none should exist. We had to, Sarah said. Earth was getting crowded, and we needed to spread out to survive. But what about your people? You've been spacefaring for thousands of years. You must have amazing agricultural technology. The princess's face darkened. We do, but we have a problem. Come, I will show you something, but you must promise to keep it secret. She led Sarah deep into the palace, down corridors that seemed to go on forever. Finally, they reached a laboratory filled with strange equipment and computer screens showing data Sarah couldn't read. For the past 50 years, our crops have been failing. The princess explained. A plague affects our plants. They grow normally for months, then suddenly wither and die. Our scientists cannot find the cause. Sarah looked at the data on the screens. Even though she couldn't read the Zephyrian writing, she could see patterns in the numbers, growth rates, soil mineral levels, plant health indicators. These things were universal. How many different worlds does this happen on? Sarah asked. All of them. Every planet where we grow food has the same problem. We have to import more food each year. Soon, we may not be able to feed our people. Sarah studied the data more carefully. Something was bothering her about the pattern she saw. Princess, can you show me soil samples from affected areas? Lyrinus brought out containers of soil from different planets. Sarah looked at them closely. Even smelling them, the princess watched with curiosity. I think I know what the problem might be, Sarah said slowly. But I need to test something. Do you have any unaffected soil? Yes. From our greenhouses in the palace, we grow ceremonial flowers there. They have never been affected by the plague. Sarah examined the greenhouse. Soil. It was completely different from the farm soil. It was darker, richer, and had a different smell. Princess, I think your problem is not a plague. I think it's the soil itself. Lyrinus looked confused. What do you mean? Your farming soil is to clean. Look at this greenhouse soil. It's full of small organisms, bacteria, and tiny insects. Your farm soil has almost none of these. Sarah explained her theory. The Zephyrians had made their farming so efficient that they had removed all the small life forms from their soil. But plants needed these tiny partners to survive and stay healthy on Earth. We learned that plants don't just need nutrients from soil. They need relationships with bacteria and fungi. These tiny life forms help plants fight diseases and absorb nutrients better. The princess was quiet for a long time, thinking. You believe our plants are dying because they are lonely? In a way, yes, they're missing their natural partners. But how do we fix this? We cannot simply add wild soil to our farms. It would contaminate our food production systems, Sarah smiled. We combine Zephyrian efficiency with human adaptability. We create controlled bacterial cultures, selected helpful organisms, that we can add to your clean soil. We can test them safely in small areas first. The princess's silver eyes began to glow with excitement. This could work. Your hydroponic systems could help us test different combinations quickly. They worked together for the rest of the day. Sarah designed a small testing system using human hydroponic technology, combined with Zephyrian soil analysis equipment. The princess provided samples of beneficial organisms from the greenhouse soil. We will start with small tests, Lyrinus said as they finished their work. If this succeeds, you will have saved not just our sacred moon, but our entire civilization. As they cleaned up the laboratory, the princess looked at Sarah with new respect. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "When I first met you, I thought you were just another warrior who solved problems with violence." "I was wrong," Sarah shrugged. "Lots of people think that about humans. They see our wars and conflicts and think that's all we are. But humans fight because we care about things. We fight to protect what we love." "And what do you love, Sarah Chen?" Sarah thought for a moment. "I love seeing things grow. I love building something that helps people. I love the moment when a solution clicks into place and you know it's going to work." The princess smiled for the first time since they had met. Perhaps humans and Zephyrians are not so different after all. That night, Sarah stood on her balcony looking up at the stars. Tomorrow, they would begin testing their solution to the plague. If it worked, she would have helped save an entire species. But more importantly, she had made a friend, Princess. Lyranus was brilliant and passionate about her work. Working with her felt natural, like they had been partners for years instead of days. Sarah didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could imagine. 2 weeks had passed since Sarah and Princess Lyranus began their work on the agricultural plague. Their tests were showing amazing results. The plants grown with their new soil mixture were stronger and healthier than any Zephyrian crops. In 50 years, Sarah was in the laboratory checking the latest growth data when alarms began ringing throughout the palace. But these alarms were different from the pirate attack. They were deeper, more urgent, and they didn't stop. Princess Lyranus burst into the laboratory, her silver eyes wide with fear. "Sarah, we need to go to the command center immediately. Something terrible is happening." They ran through the palace corridors. Guards were moving everywhere, carrying weapons and equipment. The crystal walls that usually glow with peaceful colors were now flashing red and orange. In the command center, King Velter stood before a massive display screen. Sarah gasped when she saw what was shown there. Hundreds of dark ships filled the space around Zephyr Prime. They were huge, black vessels that looked like metal insects with sharp edges and glowing red lights. "The Vex Dominion," the king said when he saw them enter. His voice was grim. "They have come to claim our world." Sarah had heard stories about the Vex Dominion. They were an empire of conquerors who took over planets and enslaved the people living there. They were cruel and powerful, with technology that could destroy entire worlds. "How many ships?" Princess Lyranus asked. 300, replied General Korthak, the king's military commander. "They are demanding we surrender our crystal mines and become part of their empire. If we refuse, they will destroy our cities." Sarah looked at the display. The Zephyrian defense fleet was still recovering from the pirate attack 2 weeks ago. They had maybe 50 ships ready for battle. It was not enough. "What kind of weapons do they have?" Sarah asked. The general looked at her with surprise. "Why do you ask? Human, this is not your fight." "Yes, it is," Sarah said firmly. "Princess Lyranus is my friend. This planet helped me when I needed it. I won't abandon you now." King Velter nodded approvingly. "Tell her, General, the Vex use plasma cannons that can melt through our shields. They also have landing ships that can carry thousands of soldiers. Once they reach the surface, our cities will fall quickly." Sarah studied the tactical display. The Vex ships were arranged in a standard attack formation. They would bombard the planet from space, then send down invasion forces to capture the crystal mines. "Your Majesty," Sarah said slowly, "I have an idea, but it's dangerous, and it will require your people to trust human military tactics." The king looked at her carefully. "Speak. Humans don't always fight the way our enemies expect. Sometimes we use the land itself as a weapon. Your planet has something the Vex don't know about, the crystal cave systems." Princess Lyranus' eyes lit up. "The resonance caves, Father, she might be right. The crystals in the deep caves amplify energy signals." Sarah nodded excitedly. "If we can place the right kind of charges in the caves, we could turn the entire planet into a giant shield generator. The crystals would amplify the energy and create a protective barrier." General Korthak shook his head. "Impossible. The caves are deep underground and very dangerous. The tunnels collapse easily, and there are poisonous gases in many areas. That's why it has to be a small team, Sarah said. Humans are good at working in tight spaces and dangerous conditions. We can move fast and carry lightweight equipment. The king was quiet for a long moment, outside. They could hear the sound of Vex ships entering the atmosphere. What do you need? He asked finally. Sarah spent the next hour planning with Princess Lyranus and the Zephyrian engineers. They would need special energy charges that could be activated remotely. The charges had to be placed at exact locations in the cave system to create the right resonance pattern. I'm coming with you, Princess, Lyranus announced as they prepared to leave. No, Sarah said immediately. It's dangerous if something happens to you. I know these caves better than anyone. I studied them for my research on crystal formations. You need me. Sarah looked at the princess's determined face. She knew that expression. Lyranus had made up her mind, and nothing would change it. All right, Sarah agreed, but we do this my way. Human tactics, human rules. When I say move, you move. When I say stop, you stop. Deal. They took a small team of 6 Zephyrian soldiers and descended into the crystal caves. Beneath the palace, the caves were beautiful but terrifying. Huge crystals jutted from the walls and ceiling, glowing with their own inner light. The passages were narrow and twisted in confusing patterns. Sarah led them deeper into the cave system, following the map Princess Lyranus had provided. They moved quickly but carefully, placing energy charges at key points along the way. Above them, the battle had begun. They could hear the distant thunder of weapons fire as the Zephyrian fleet fought desperately against the Vex armada. How much further? Sarah asked as they climbed down a particularly steep passage. The main crystal chamber is just ahead, Lyranus replied. That's where we need to place the final charge. They reached the chamber, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was enormous. Filled with crystals the size of buildings, the walls sparkled like stars in the darkness. There, Princess Lyranus pointed to a crystal formation in the center of the chamber. That's the resonance point. Sarah was setting up the final charge when the ground began to shake. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling. The Vex are bombing the surface. One of the soldiers reported through his communicator. The caves are becoming unstable. A loud crack echoed through the chamber. Sarah looked up to see a massive crystal breaking away from the ceiling, falling directly toward Princess Lyranus. Without thinking, Sarah threw herself forward, pushing the princess out of the way. The crystal crashed down where Lyranus had been standing just seconds before. But the falling crystal had broken other formations. A chain reaction began as more crystals fell from the ceiling. The cave entrance started to collapse. Everyone out, Sarah shouted. Move now. The team ran for the exit as the cave system began falling apart around them. Sarah made sure everyone else got out first, then started to follow. But another crystal fell, blocking her path and trapping her in the chamber. Sarah. Princess Lyranus screamed from the other side of the rockfall. I'm okay, Sarah called back, but I'm trapped. You need to activate the shield now, before the Vex break through our defenses. Through the rubble, she could hear Lyranus crying. I won't leave you. You have to. Your people need you. Activate the shield. Sarah heard footsteps running away from the cave entrance. A few minutes later, the crystals around her began to glow brighter. The energy charges were working, sending power through the crystal network. The ground shook again. But this time it was different. Above the planet, a massive energy shield was forming, protecting Zephyr Prime from the Vex bombardment. Sarah smiled despite her pain. Her plan had worked. The planet was safe. But she was badly hurt from falling rocks, and the air in the chamber was getting thin. She sat down against the crystal wall and waited. She thought about Earth, about her family, about the amazing adventure that had brought her to this alien world. She thought about Princess Lyranus and how much their friendship had meant to her. Then she heard voices and the sound of digging equipment. The rescue team had arrived. Hold on. Sarah, it was Lyranus' voice. We're getting you out, as consciousness faded. Sarah heard the princess giving orders to the rescue workers, even in her concern for Sarah. Lyranus was still thinking like a leader, coordinating the rescue effort with Calm efficiency. That was the last thing Sarah remembered before everything went dark. Sarah woke up in the Palace Medical Center 3 days later. Her body ached, and her left arm was wrapped in strange blue bandages that glowed softly. The first thing she saw was Princess Lyranis sitting beside her bed, reading data on a crystal tablet. "You're awake," the princess said, her silver eyes bright with relief. "The doctors said you would recover completely, but I was still worried." Sarah tried to sit up and winced. "How long was I unconscious?" 3 days. "You had a concussion and several broken bones, but Zephyrian medicine is very advanced. You will be completely healed in a few more days." "What happened to the Vex fleet?" Sarah asked urgently. Princess Lyranis smiled. "Your shield plan worked perfectly. The planetary defense held for 6 hours while our fleet regrouped. When the Vex realized they could not break through, they retreated. They said they would return with more ships, but that will take them months to organize." Sarah relaxed back into the medical bed. "Good. That gives your people time to prepare." "My father wants to see you as soon as you are well enough," Lyranis said. "He has something important to discuss with you." Over the next 2 days, Sarah recovered quickly. The Zephyrian medical technology was amazing. Her bones healed perfectly, and her concussion symptoms disappeared. By the 5th day, she felt completely normal again. Princess Lyranis visited her every day. They talked about many things: science, engineering, their different worlds, and their hopes for the future. Sarah found herself looking forward to these visits more than anything else. "I've been thinking about something," Lyranis said during one of her visits. "When you pushed me out of the way of that falling crystal, you didn't hesitate. You risked your life for mine without even thinking about it." Sarah shrugged. "Anyone would have done the same thing." "No, they wouldn't have. That kind of immediate courage is rare. You saved my life twice, once from the crystal, and once by creating the shield that saved our entire planet." There was something in the princess's voice that made Sarah look at her more carefully. Lyranis was looking down at her hands, her cheeks slightly darker than usual. "Sarah," the princess said quietly, "I need to tell you something. These past weeks, working with you, getting to know you, I've never met anyone like you before." Before Sarah could respond, King Velter entered the medical room. He was wearing his formal royal robes and looked very serious. "Commander Chen," he said formally, "you have recovered well. Good. We have much to discuss." The king asked Princess Lyranis to leave them alone. When she was gone, he sat down in the chair beside Sarah's bed. "In all my years as king," he began, "I have never seen such courage and wisdom from an outsider. You saved our sacred moon from pirates. You helped solve our agricultural crisis. And now you have saved our entire planet from conquest." Sarah felt uncomfortable with all the praise. "Your Majesty, I just did what anyone would do." "No," the king said firmly. "What you did was extraordinary. You have shown the highest virtues of our people: courage in battle, wisdom in solving problems, and selfless sacrifice for others. More than that, you have brought new ideas and new ways of thinking that have made us stronger." The king stood up and began pacing around the room. "In our culture, when someone demonstrates such exceptional virtue, we offer them the highest honor we can give. We invite them to become part of our family, not as a servant or subject, but as an equal." Sarah's heart began beating faster. She wasn't sure what the king was saying, but it sounded very important. "I am offering you the chance to join the royal family of Zephyr Prime," King Velter continued. "If you choose to accept, and if she also chooses to accept, you could be joined in marriage to my daughter, Princess Lyranis." Sarah's eyes widened in shock. "Your Majesty, I don't know what to say. This is not a command or an obligation," the king said quickly. "This is an invitation based on respect and honor. Both you and my daughter must choose freely. If either of you decides against it, there will be no shame and no anger." The king sat down again and looked at Sarah seriously. "I have watched you and Lyranis work together these past weeks. I have seen how you respect each other's intelligence and abilities. I have seen how you care for each other's safety and happiness. You are partners in every way that matters." Sarah's mind was spinning. Marriage to an alien princess. It seemed impossible. But when she thought about Princess Lyrinus, about their conversations and their work together, about how much she enjoyed spending time with her, Your Majesty, Sarah said slowly, "May I ask what Princess Lyrinus thinks about this?" The king smiled. "Why don't you ask her yourself?" He called for his daughter to return to the room. When Princess Lyrinus entered, she looked nervous and excited at the same time. "Father told you about the offer?" she asked Sarah. "Yes," Sarah replied. "What do you think about it?" Princess Lyrinus sat down on the edge of the medical bed. I think I would like that very much, but only if you wanted to." Sarah looked at the princess's beautiful silver eyes and felt her heart racing. She realized that somewhere during their weeks of working together, she had developed feelings that went far beyond friendship. "Lyrinus," Sarah said softly, "I care about you more than I ever thought possible. But this is a big decision. Are you sure this is what you want?" "I've never been more sure of anything," the princess replied. "You make me laugh. You challenge me to think in new ways. You're brave and kind and brilliant. When I thought you might die in that cave, I realized how much you mean to me." Sarah took the princess's hand in hers. "I feel the same way. I never expected to find someone like you when I came to Zephyr Prime." King Velter cleared his throat. "So you both agree to this union?" Sarah and Princess Lyrinus looked at each other and smiled. "Yes," they said together. The king nodded approvingly. "Then we will begin preparations for the ceremony. This will be the first human-Zephyrian royal marriage in history. It will symbolize a new era of cooperation between our peoples." As the king left the room, Sarah and Princess Lyrinus sat together quietly, holding hands and thinking about their future. "Are you nervous?" Lyrinus asked. "Terrified," Sarah admitted, "but also excited. We're going to do amazing things together." "Yes," the princess agreed. "We are." Outside the window, the three suns of Zephyr Prime were setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. In the distance, the crystal shield generators still glowed softly, protecting the planet from any future threats. Sarah squeezed Lyrinus' hand gently. Tomorrow, they would begin planning their wedding and their life together. But tonight, they were just two people who had found something precious and unexpected in each other. The human engineer and the alien princess, partners in science and now partners in life, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. 6 months had passed since the Vex attack. The wedding day had finally arrived, and Zephyr Prime was celebrating like never before. The entire planet was decorated with crystal lights that sparkled in every color imaginable. Ships from dozens of different worlds had come to witness the historic ceremony. Sarah stood in her preparation chamber, looking at herself in the mirror. She wore a beautiful dress that combined human and Zephyrian styles. The top was white silk from Earth, while the bottom was made of Zephyrian crystal fabric that shifted colors with her emotions. Right now, it glowed with soft gold and blue, happiness mixed with nervous excitement. "You look beautiful," said her friend Lieutenant Torres, who had arrived from Earth with a delegation of human diplomats. "Are you ready for this?" Sarah smiled. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life." In another part of the palace, Princess Lyrinus was also preparing. Her dress was silver like starlight, with patterns that told the story of their meeting and adventures together. Traditional Zephyrian wedding dresses usually told the story of the bride's family history, but Lyrinus had chosen to tell the story of her partnership with Sarah instead. The ceremony took place in the Great Crystal Hall, the most sacred place on Zephyr Prime. Thousands of guests filled the enormous space. King Velter stood at the center, wearing robes covered in golden symbols of unity and new beginnings. When Sarah entered the hall, everyone stood up. She walked slowly down the long aisle, passing representatives from Earth, Zephyr Prime, and many other worlds at the front. Princess Lyrinus was waiting for her with a smile that made Sarah's heart race. "Friends and honored guests," King Velter began, his voice carrying throughout the hall. "Today we witness something that has never happened before. The joining of two peoples, two worlds, two different ways of thinking, united in respect and love." The ceremony was beautiful. Sarah and Princess Lyrinus exchanged vows in both English and Zephyrian. They promised to be partners in all things, in love, in work, in protecting those who needed help, and in building a better future for all people when they joined hands. The crystal walls of the hall began to glow. It was a Zephyrian tradition that crystals responded to strong emotions. The entire hall filled with warm, golden light as everyone celebrated the new union. By the ancient laws of our people and the new bonds between worlds, King Velter announced, I present Princess Sarah Chen Velinus and Princess Lyrinus Chen, united as one family, one future, one hope. The celebration lasted for 3 days. But Sarah and Lyrinus had work to do. During the wedding festivities, representatives from 12 different worlds approached them with problems that needed solving. Your reputation has spread, King Velter told them on the morning after the wedding. People across the galaxy have heard about the human who saved Zephyr Prime, and the princess who works with aliens as equals. They want your help. Sarah and Lyrinus looked at each other and smiled. They had talked about this possibility many times. We want to help, Sarah said, but we need to do this properly. We need a real organization with resources and authority to make a difference. That conversation led to the creation of the Interspecies Council, the first galactic organization dedicated to solving problems through cooperation instead of conquest. Sarah became the Council's Director of Engineering and Crisis Response. Princess Lyrinus became the Director of Science and Cultural Relations. Their first mission came just 2 weeks after the wedding. A mining colony on the edge of the galaxy was being attacked by automated war machines, left behind from an ancient conflict. The local government had asked for help from several major powers, but all of them wanted payment the colony couldn't afford. Sarah and Lyrinus took their new ship, the Unity, to investigate. The Unity was a marvel of combined human and Zephyrian technology. It was fast like a human ship but strong like a Zephyrian vessel. More importantly, it was equipped with laboratories and workshops where they could develop solutions to any problem they encountered. When they arrived at the mining colony, they found a desperate situation. The ancient war machines were destroying everything in their path. The colonists were hiding in underground shelters, afraid to come out. These machines are thousands of years old. Lyrinus observed as they studied the attackers from a safe distance. They're following programming from a war that ended long ago. Sarah examined the machines' behavior patterns. They're not really evil. They're just confused. Their original targets are gone, so they're attacking anything that moves. Working together, they developed a solution that was both clever and compassionate. Instead of destroying the war machines, they reprogrammed them to become construction and mining equipment. The machines' powerful weapons became powerful tools for building and creating instead of destroying. The grateful colonists offered to pay Sarah and Lyrinus with rare minerals, but the two partners refused payment. Instead, they asked the colony to join the Interspecies Council and help other worlds that needed assistance. News of their success spread quickly. Soon, requests for help were coming from all over the galaxy. Pirates threatening trade routes, planets facing environmental disasters, diplomatic conflicts between different species. Sarah and Lyrinus tackled every problem with the same approach, understanding, creativity, and cooperation. Their partnership became legendary. Sarah's human ingenuity and determination combined perfectly with Lyrinus' as scientific brilliance and diplomatic skills. They solved problems that had puzzled galactic governments for decades. But their greatest achievement was not any single mission. It was the change they brought to how different species worked with each other. Before Sarah and Lyrinus, most galactic politics was about power and domination. Stronger civilizations controlled weaker ones. Different species stayed separate and suspicious of each other. The Interspecies Council showed a different way. They proved that cooperation was stronger than conquest, that different perspectives made better solutions, and that treating others with respect created lasting peace. 5 years after their wedding, Sarah and Lyrinus stood on the bridge of their ship, looking out at a space station they had helped design. The station was a symbol of everything they had accomplished, a place where dozens of different species lived and worked together, sharing knowledge and solving problems as partners. Do you ever miss the simple days? Lyrinus asked, putting her arm around Sarah's waist. When our biggest problem was figuring out soil bacteria, Sarah laughed, sometimes. But look what we've built. Look at all the people we've helped. Look at how much the galaxy has changed. Through the window, they could see ships from many different worlds docking at the station. Humans worked alongside Zephyrians, who worked alongside dozens of other species. Children of different races played together in the station's gardens. Scientists from across the galaxy shared their discoveries freely. We did this, Lyrinus said softly. Together. No, Sarah corrected her with a smile. We started it, but look around. Everyone did this. That's what makes it beautiful. As they watched, a new ship approached the station. It was flying the flag of the Interspecies Council, a symbol showing many different hands, reaching toward the same star. Another world needed their help. Another problem waited to be solved. Another chance to build bridges between different peoples. Sarah and Lyrinus looked at each other and smiled. They were ready for whatever came next. Together, they could handle anything the galaxy had to offer. The human engineer and the alien princess had found something more valuable than gold or power. They had found a way to make the universe a better place for everyone.